Hey, this is Seth. In this video, I'm going to show you how to configure your Stride phone settings so you can control how your phone system behaves both when you are calling other people from your Stride account and when other people are calling you. So first off, you go right down here to Settings and go and click on Phone System. And the first thing you're going to see right on this page are all the phone numbers that you have so far, whether you've ported numbers in or whether you've bought phone numbers. If you ever want to buy a phone number, it's the easiest thing in the world. Just click Add a Number. Add phone number again, and you can very easily filter by which area code you want and whichever number or phrases you want in your phone number. And as you can see, it's very inexpensive to buy these things. It's almost free. So if you need a quick number to call from any area code in the US, this can be super useful if you want to call somebody and look like you're calling from their backyard. This is a really quick way to do it. But once you do have a phone number in your system and you want to actually change how the settings work for that number, you go ahead and click on these three dots here and click Edit Configuration. And the first thing up here, you're going to see this friendly name thing. So this is basically just if you want to remember, oh yeah, that's what this number is for. You could put that right here. For example, if I wanted to say this was for the selling department of my land business, I could say land sales, just like that. Once I save it, we can now see the friendly name is land sales. So I can just quick look at it and understand, oh, okay, that's the purpose of that phone number. If we go back in here, now the next thing is determining which person on our team should incoming calls to this phone number go to. Say if we have 5 people on our team, should it ring on my phone number or my assistant's phone number or my salesman's phone number? Who should it go to? Now in this particular account, we only have John Doe, so there's only one person. So we could select him. And once we select him, it's not just about saying that we want calls to go to him. We have to specify how do we want these calls to go to him? Like, does he have a physical desktop phone in his office? Do we want it to ring there? Or do we just want it to forward to his personal phone number? Or do we want it to ring on the Stride mobile app on his phone? Or just ring when he has this desktop interface pulled up and that's the only time he's ever going to hear it ring? We can select one or two or all or none of these things. I know personally for me, I don't have one of these desktop phones and I don't want it ringing on my main phone number. I just have it ring on the web app, which is basically this screen we have pulled up right now, or the mobile app, which is a separate mobile app you can download to go on your Android or iPhone device. By the way, there actually is a separate desktop Stride app you could use for this as well, which is a different thing from your web browser. It looks and works the same way. It's just a separate window without all the web browser stuff connected to it. So you could have it ring there as well. So it's just a matter of saying where and how do we want it to ring for this person. And there's actually a separate page where we can get even more specific about what hours of the day and days of the week it should be able to ring on his device and that kind of thing. But I'll show you that in just a minute. But just staying on this screen here. So there's also this call recording thing, which I use all the time. It's awesome. So if you turn that toggle switch on, as it implies, it's going to automatically record every single call, which is very, very useful. I look back on this stuff all the time. However, if you're doing this, depending on what state you're in, there may be certain requirements for disclosing whether or not the other person on that call is aware that the call is being recorded. So that's up for you to decide if that's required or not. But assuming it is, you would have to just say, okay, what kind of disclosure do we want to say when they pick up the phone and hear this? And whatever you put here, you're going to hear a little machine voice say that as soon as the other party picks up the phone, whether that's you or them. Once it's connected, you'll hear this play. You don't have to have this on. You could turn it off, but again, you'll want to check on the state laws that apply to determine whether you want this on or off and also what you want it to say. Like for example, you could just have it say connected if you want it to. I mean, literally anything you put in here, it'll say it. So let's go ahead and save this. And then we'll open it back up because we're not done yet. So you'll also see this thing that says see more options. And really all this does is just shoot you over to the next thing here on this menu. So when we're talking about forwarding calls to a specific team member, as I mentioned, there's several different ways to do this. And we can also do this thing where there's a second priority number. So in John's staff profile, we can put his phone number there and that's the number it will forward to if we check this box. But what if he has like another phone number? Or what if he wants his wife to pick up the phone if he can't do it? Something like that. You can put yet another phone number here if you want to. I don't do this. I don't know many people that do, but it's an option if you want that. There's also this voice AI option, and voice AI is awesome. I mean, I truly love it. I'm not going to say it's perfect. I'm not going to say it's as good as the best human salesperson ever, but it's a great way to have callers go to something that can actually interact with them and gather information. And honestly, like do a lot of stuff that a basic human virtual receptionist would otherwise do. Again, we've got a couple different videos explaining how all that works. I'll link to those beneath this video if you want to check them out and see whether or not this is something you want to do. But I can just tell you, I've got it working in my business. It's very useful. You can have those phone calls recorded as well. So you can listen back to what happened and what was said. And that voice AI agent can even take information from the person calling. It can schedule appointments for you. It can put information into their contact field. Say if you're talking to a motivated seller and you want to gather information about their property, you can do all that stuff. So if you want to have a voice AI agent as a backup, or even as like the primary thing that a caller hears when they call you, you can do that too. And of course, you can also have it ring more team members. Again, I've only got one team member in this account, but say if there were like 3 people on the sales team, and if person number 1 can't pick up the phone and you want to have it go somewhere else, you could do that as well. Now, there's also this timeout settings option. So if you do this, this is basically just saying how long it's going to ring before it goes to voicemail. So if you wanted to go straight to voicemail, you could put 0 in here. If you wanted it to wait 10 seconds, you could do that. You get the idea. So that's obviously up to you to do whatever you want. And we can see that by default it's going to go to voicemail as the backup if nobody answers. That's because I've not set up the voice AI agent in this account yet. But if you do want to use the voice AI agent, then you'll have this option of sending it to the voice AI backup. So let's go ahead and scroll up here and go to advanced settings. Now over here, we've got this call connect option. So what this means is when you call somebody else and they pick up the phone, it's going to ask that recipient to press a key when they receive the call, which basically just validates that it's a human answering the call. There's also this whisper message option. The idea behind this is, let's say you have like 5 different phone numbers and people are calling in at all 5 numbers all the time. And it's kind of hard for you to keep straight, like, wait, what is this number? Like, who's calling? Why are they calling? Well, what you could do here in this example, if this is our land sales phone number, that's the purpose of why people are calling in. This is like the number that goes on every property listing we have out there. What we could do is turn this on and say, incoming call from land sales, just so that once we pick up the phone, we're going to hear it say that and we'll think to ourselves, oh, okay, this call's coming from land sales. So it must be somebody interested in one of our properties. Just gives you a quick heads up before you start talking so you can kind of quickly understand the context of where this incoming call is coming from. And there's also this bring your own number option. So I don't use this, but what you could do is whenever you use this phone number right up here, and whenever you make an outbound call to somebody else, you could make it so that that receiver, when they see your call ringing on their phone, they don't see this phone number. They see whatever phone number you want them to see. And you can set this up, if we close this out, going right here to verified caller IDs, and you can add a number and do add verified caller ID. And it basically just allows you to kind of like ghost the phone number. So you can make it look like a different phone number than the one that's right there in your account. Now I want to show you some of the stuff that's worth knowing about when you go over here and click on voice. So first of all, remember how we turned call recording on? So every time it records one of those calls, it's going to save an MP3 file in your Stride account. And there actually is a small cost to store those things if you just kind of store them forever. It's not crazy expensive, but it can add up if you get hundreds of calls and store hundreds of recordings day after day after day. So what I personally have in mind is I automatically delete them after a certain number of days. And I think I have mine set up for 90. That's usually a good amount of time. And keep in mind, you can always download these things before they get automatically deleted. So if you happen to record a really important call that you don't want to lose, just download the thing before it gets automatically deleted. There's also this call transcription thing, which I think is kind of equally helpful, maybe even more helpful in some ways, because it will literally make a transcription of every recording. So you have it now in text. The reason this is useful is because you can now take that text and run it through AI and create automatic summaries and even set up automations so that different AI tools can read the entire recorded phone conversations that you've had with people and then come up with context-specific auto replies in the future and that kind of thing. So I think if you're going to do this kind of call recording that records the audio file, it's totally worth it to turn this on. Now, when it comes to voicemail and missed call text back, so when you're looking at the global settings for every single phone number you have in your account, as we saw back here, what you can do is go here, go to edit configuration and go to call forwarding and set this kind of thing. But this only applies to this one phone number. But if you don't have this selected and you just want a general rule to apply to every phone number, no matter what, when you go back over here, go to voicemail and missed call text back, this is where you can set what that timeout rule is going to be for everything if no other rules apply. So again, you could have it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever you want it to be. And then whatever audio file you want them to hear as your voicemail greeting, you can just put it right in here. So for example, I use Audio Hijack for this. It's just a simple audio recording app for your computer. So I could just say, hey, thanks for calling. This is Seth's land company. I'm not here right now, so leave us a voicemail and we'll call you back. So just say whatever you want it to say. Then we can grab that audio file and drop it right here. And now we can listen to it. Hey, thanks for calling. This is Seth's Land Company. I'm not here right now, so leave us a voicemail and we'll call you back. Now, I'm not actually going to use that, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. But point is, that's how you get that audio file in there. Save this again. And currently it's set to no timeout, so it's going to go directly to that voicemail greeting. Now, there's also this missed call text back option. So what this is going to do is if a call is missed, it's going to automatically text that number back with whatever message you have in here. You can turn this off if you don't want that to happen. If you turn it on, it's going to have this default thing in here. Location name is going to be whatever name you have in your business profile over here. Or you can just type out whatever you want it to say manually. Just click customize and say, hey, this is Seth. Sorry I missed your call. What's up? And then right here, you can put whatever phone number you want and send a test and make sure it looks good. Now, if we go over here to other settings, so this first one right here says that if it's activated, calls will be forwarded to the business phone in case forwarding number or assigned user's phone number is not configured. So what it's talking about here is when you go over here to business profile, if we open this up in a new window, we can see a phone number right here. Now, I don't think this is even a real phone number, but if there was a real phone number in there, that is the number that calls will be forwarded to if there is no user assigned to it and no other rules assigned. And over here where it says ring user assigned to called number, so this says if activated, calls will be forwarded to the user assigned to called number and not the user assigned to the contact. So what it's talking about here is when you go to a contact, there is an option to assign a specific person on your team to that contact. And if you do that, that person assigned to the contact supersedes all others. So for example, this user, we could say that John Doe on our team, John is the member of our staff who is always assigned to Mike, no matter what. So John owns this contact for the sake of continuity. So if you have this box checked, it's actually going to ignore this rule. Instead, it's going to forward it to whichever team member we have assigned to each number instead of the person assigned to this contact. But if you want it to work the other way around, just go ahead and uncheck it, and now it's going to forward it to John, because he is the person in charge of that contact, if that makes sense. And then going over here, outbound calls. So you remember that recorded whisper message we had set up where it says, calls will be recorded for quality purposes, or whatever it is you want to put in there. So if that annoys you, hearing that every single time you call somebody, you have to listen to that, go ahead and check this and you won't hear it. It's going to connect you after that message ends playing. And then avoid calling people during quiet hours. You'll basically just get a little heads up if you're about to call somebody after 9 p.m. or before 8 a.m., depending on what time it is in their time zone. Now, one other thing I want to show you is when we go over here to My Staff and you find all the different team members in your account, we've only got one in this case, you can open this up. And when you go over here to call and voicemail settings, so if we have John assigned as the person to have calls forwarded to whenever people call land sales, and that is currently how we have it set up. Again, we already figured this out on the earlier screen, but we can say, where do we want this to ring on John's devices? Do we want it forwarded to his personal number or just the desktop app when he's in front of his computer? Or do we want it to ring on the mobile app on his mobile device? That kind of thing. And down here, if it's going to John and not just the general company phone number, then we can also set the timeout settings for just John, not the global company settings for every number. So say if by the time they get through to John, we only want that to ring for 5 seconds, then you could set it up that way, whatever you want to do. And then if John has a special voicemail greeting that he wants to record that sounds more like uniquely him and that kind of thing, then he could do that and upload that right here. And then also moving on to user availability. So what if John doesn't want to get phone calls at 3 in the morning? Then he can go here and set his availability. And this stuff is going to be set up here by default, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. But say if John is okay working weekends, then he could do this kind of thing and make this work too. And then if somebody calls on his off hours, it'll go to his voicemail greeting. And there's also the calendar configuration. We've got separate videos explaining how calendars work, where you would come over here and create separate individualized calendars for each person. It's kind of loosely connected to the phone settings, but it is technically a totally different subject. So I'll link to the calendar video as well if you want to check that out. But otherwise, that sums up all the most important stuff you need to know about setting up your phone system. But if you ever have questions about this or get stuck or if phone settings just aren't behaving the way you think they should, I know I had that a bit when I was first trying to set this up in my account, you're always welcome to email us at support@stridecrm.co. Let us know what you're having trouble with and we will help you out. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.